Hello and welcome to a brand new week. I am Joey Only, the Caribou Weather Dude here in Wells, British Columbia, your weatherman for the BC interior. We just had a wonderfully nice weekend, but it's over. A funnel system is draped over BC coast. It's giving strong winds up into the north. Interior regions will be dry, but cloud cover will increase throughout the day. Some showers will develop over the interior overnight on Monday as the front moves inland. On Tuesday, another area of low pressure arrives from the Pacific. It brings bands of precipitation to the central and north coast. Going to make it windy. Most of northern BC will be spared from precipitation since the low will be tracking south, eventually reaching Washington state. Bands of showers from the low will persist over most of the southern interior. High pressure rebuilds towards the end of the week, bringing drier conditions to most of BC as we head into next weekend. Parade of lows off on the coast. That's kind of what you expect to see at this time of year, usually starting around now. So no big surprises there. And this coastal influence, it's getting up and down the west coast here, as you can see, up and down the west coast. Monday at 11 a.m. So increasing cloudiness into the interior. By 5 p.m. we see that next low, the Tuesday low, approaching closer. Do see a little bit of rain showers, maybe north of Prince George, maybe in the Rocky Mountains, in the Kootenays there. And up and down the coast still, showers. 5 a.m. She's spreading some rain into southern BC. Heavy rain now in the Tofino area. Southern BC getting increased cloudiness and some rain. Up in the Peace, maybe a little in the Rockies up that way. 11 a.m. Tuesday, now we see southern BC. Definitely getting some rain there. The low is slapping up against the coast. These winds will be coming in from this direction. They'll be hitting the coast hard, so expecting heavy winds, expecting heavy rain in some places. Can't say for sure how heavy it's going to be in southern BC yet. We'll get to that in a few minutes and we'll decide. So stay tuned. If you can, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, because it makes a big difference in my life every time someone hits that subscribe. You think maybe it's not a huge deal, but actually to me it is. When I check my site in the morning and I see that there's 2 new subscribers, I'm like, holy shit. I'm just as shocked as I am as when it's this freaking windy outside. So there you go. By Wednesday, get a little bit of a clearing going on, clear slot in the central interior, but not for the Rocky Mountains, not north of Prince George, not for the South Coast Mountains. Central and northern BC, not so much. That low passes right through there, but now we start to see by Wednesday, 5 p.m. Look at that, clearing trend. There we go. And that is going to be kind of the story for midweek, but we're not going to see that kind of weather we just had. No. That was exceptionally nice weekend, wasn't it? Another storm coming after that. That's going to be something. Look at this. Bam. There we go. Monday, you can see lots of cooled air and precipitation up off the coast. And that is probably what's going to be coming to us sometime next week, Tuesday. Going to see colder air sliding southward. Here is the jet stream images for the next 200 hours. That's looking up to Saturday right now. So as you can see, the jet stream gets pushed south. What it's going to do when it gets pushed south, it's just going to allow for cold air. We can see kind of the extent of Tropical Storm Philippe still hanging around central Ontario, or sort of Ontario, Quebec, and then finally getting pushed out through the Maritimes. And it's going to kind of come in, hang around, stall, and push its way back out. So Hurricane Philippe wasn't hurricane for very long. It wasn't a very big hurricane, but it sure became a tropical storm. And when it came north, it became a mid-latitude cyclone. And it was quite strong and has spread lots of rain through eastern parts. But as you can see, that will break down, and when it moves out, although maybe a little bit cooler temperatures, Ontario and whatnot will be nice. So you can see going towards Friday, we get that kind of a clear trend in BC. And then finally, the jet stream is going to push back towards us in the next week on Tuesday the 17th. By then, we will be definitely in a completely different pattern than we're in right now, and a completely different pattern than we were just in last weekend. Monday, we can see that low sitting up there in the Gulf of Alaska code, 975, fairly deep, fairly low. So that's this is today. You can see Felipe, not quite as low as it was there in central, up in northern Ontario. Down, it's now up to 994 millibars, so it's not as strong as it was, but it's still sucking cold air downwards, and it's still changing the entire dynamic of, especially eastern half of the continent. But I would argue it's changing the dynamic of our half as well. And we'll have a little look and watch how this plays out. So you see in the next 2 days, you're gonna watch that low slam into southern BC. It's going to push its way down and towards Washington State mostly. It's going to get the majority of this nastiness. And then we see a parade of lows. Look at this guy up here, 949. That's pretty deep coming off the Aleutians. By Thursday here, Friday, we get into that nice clear slot. So we'll just back up and watch this play through and see how coming into Wednesday, bam, there's that nice clear slot that happens. There you go, Thursday. By Thursday, some clearer weather in BC. But there comes a point in which we see a bit of a pattern change. It's new low next weekend. So we're looking kind of far out now. But, we're pretty sure that the temperatures are going to drop off. We're pretty sure that things will get a little bit rainier. I mean, is this exactly how this storm moves in? That's really hard to say, right? So this far ahead of time. But what we do see is computer modeling showing us, look at this storm down to 936 millibars. So that's on the 17th. The modeling is showing us that consistent development of very large storms in the Pacific. That is almost hurricane crazy. That's a very, very strong 925 millibars. So sorry, I got hiccups from drinking coffee. Okay. Terrible. By next week, Wednesday, by the 18th, we're going to see that very, very low, very 925. Some high pressure is sitting over BC, so that could help us for a little while, and that will probably steer that up mostly towards Alaska. And our precipitation model here, looking forward to this week here. So Monday, you can see Felipe still up there in northern Ontario. Central Ontario, kind of sitting north of the Ottawa Valley. Rain along the BC coast. Most of that precipitation pushing down into Washington State for us. When we go looking towards Thursday, we see that number of H's in BC, and H means hello, sunshine. Now I look at the big picture here Monday. They're looking at the winds. We see pretty strong winds right there off the, look at that, 194 kilometers an hour. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, that's craziness. Not so crazy. Other places, 134 kilometers an hour. Well, but I was wrong. That's pretty crazy. 134 kilometer an hour winds. Okay, well, this isn't at the surface, though. This is at 500 hectopascals, which is 5,500 meters. We're talking somewhere in the 15,000 to 20,000 kind of area. This is your jet stream. And as you can see, it's a fucking mess right now. And what is the result of that, Hurricane Felipe? I would suggest that it is causing some consternation within the jet stream up above. So you see 200 kilometer an hour winds in the jet streams. Those winds up above your head, well, what's it doing at the surface? So 4 kilometers an hour there where it was like 150. So, okay, so now you're getting a bit of a understanding. Surface winds and, but look at this over here, Monday at 2200 hours. This is pretty windy. That's off the coast of BC. And you can tell that's going to be slamming into, well, not quite Tofino yet by that time of the night, but it will. It always does. It probably is right now, as a matter of fact. There you go. Tuesday, 2 a.m. Bam! That wind's hitting the Vancouver Island. A little bit blustery in the central interior BC. Nothing too crazy. Pretty windy right now. Look at that. That is blasting up there. So 50 Ks, easily possible. Tuesday, 1600. So we're coming in later in the day, Tuesday. And, well, we also know that what's going on at the same time is that precipitation, which southern BC, and we'll just back up a little bit and have a look at this. So now we know that this monster low, well, it's not that monstrous, 979. It was fairly deep, but again, it's sending most of it. As you can see, they get that counterclockwise spin. That's what a low pressure system does. High pressure goes the opposite. A little bit of snow in the coast mountains. I doubt anything crazy, but some for sure. A little bit of rain towards Vernon by 10 in the morning tomorrow. We're going to see that kind of broaden out a little bit. Tuesday 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600. You get the idea here. Most of that precipitation, Portland, poor Portland, they just had an awesome weekend of really hot weather, our friends down there, but now they're going to find that was only meant to tease them. Tuesday, Wednesday morning now, and we go to Wednesday morning. You can see some of that snow up in the coast mountains. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy, and that's by this time we're going to see stuff start to dry out a little bit. So we get into that later point of the week. The rains will stop, but certainly, yeah, you're looking towards southern BC. Some precipitation this week down there for you. Maybe some showers. Nothing looking crazy. Okay, nothing looking crazy. A little bit of showers, a little bit of snowfall here and there in the high places, but nothing looking really crazy. And by Wednesday now, we see that start to tail off, and we get a larger look at the bigger picture here. Here's that crazy low that we were just seeing another model, 948 here. Wow, Thursday. So we get like kind of a nice weekend coming towards us once again. That high pressure building, and we got a big H. High pressure. So high pressure. That's what we want to see. And I mean, it's going to make for a nicer weekend, but no, it's not going to make for the kind of weekend we just had again. That was extremely unlikely. That was quite awesome. Look at that. Thursday, some pretty strong thunderstorms going on in the United States. Kansas City, what do you expect? South Dakota, Minnesota, looking for some potentially strong thunderstorms. You see how that low spin? It's pulling some of that cold air down right below. And these little blobs of cold air, that is going to help create some very strong thunderstorm action. So looking at the weekend, next weekend, it looks pretty nice. I have no complaints about seeing no clouds so far expected on this. Is the ECMWF model. Some of the models we're looking at earlier with the GFS. I change my tactics from time to time. I often have just used the ECMWF. Just like, I'm just going to pick one model and go with it kind of attitude. And sometimes I check all the different models. The thing is, then you get into like, well, which one's right? Well, pick one, assume that it's not going to be perfect, is often how I like to roll. So often they agree with each other. And it's like, well, does this blob of precipitation land here or there? Sunday, 999, a little bit of a low pressure. Not exceedingly low, but compared to the high pressure we were just seeing, look at this. Some of this was pretty high up there towards Churchill, Manitoba, 1033. So that's a lot of air in one place is what that is. 1015 in northern BC, but we see by Sunday that is going to start the switcheroo. And that cold air is coming. Look at the big picture, sort of. You go up to, again, 500 hectopascals, so 16 to 20,000 feet kind of area, and you see the cold air of the north. You can see where the jet stream is basically limited to, right? So by next week, Monday, some of that jet stream is going to be really mostly through the United States, and we're going to be across Canada into some cooler air aloft. Possibility of snow next week, Monday. Pattern change, colder air aloft, taking over British Columbia. So we will see some pattern shifting around that time. And look at this, some potentially pretty heavy rains on Vancouver Island starting next week, Tuesday. That's looking pretty far out. So certainly looking at temperatures over the next week. So say tomorrow on Tuesday, pretty chilly in southern BC. Trail, Kelowna, Kamloops, Revelstoke, all barely just crossing over that 10-degree mark. Blue River in single digits, McBride single digits. Prince George, Quesnel, Williams Lake, a little warmer up there. Burns Lake, Fort St. John, a little warmer. Jump ahead 24 hours. Not a whole lot of change. Things a little bit cooler yet. So that's Wednesday. Let's go ahead to Thursday at 3 p.m. A little bit nicer again. Williams Lake, Quesnel. So that's the day we expect to see the high pressure start to take over. We start to see things get a little bit warmer. Again, not like last weekend, but up to 17 on Friday, 18 in Quesnel, Williams Lake, Kelowna, 15, Kamloops, 18. So certainly some parts of the middle of the province seeing fairly nice weather still for this time of year. On Saturday, cooling off a little bit. So that's just some of the look at the weather this next week. I mean, it's the fall and it's early fall. So what I'm finding is like what I find all the time when these what I call hinge seasons swing, when the swinging between one season to the other, sometimes things are actually pretty boring weather-wise. It's not like the middle of the summer where I'm like talking about crazy thunderstorms and fires and all that. It's not like the middle of the winter where we're like talking about big time cold and big time snowstorms and stuff like that. No, it's that time of year where things are kind of sitting in the middle, and it rains some and it's cloudy some, and it's not necessarily the worst, but it's not necessarily awesome, and it doesn't make for great weather stories, and it's hard to convince people bad weather is good for business here on this channel. But hey, what's also good for business is if you hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, tell your friends that Joey Only, the Caribou Weather Dude, is out there, and he's the goodness of his friggin' old crusty heart trying to get everyone to be a little more educated about the weather in British Columbia. Okay, that's the show for today, friends. Okay.